Welcome to the Harjit and Prayer Show with your host, Harjit and Prayer.
Wait a few seconds. Hey, Harjit, ask me why I'm whispering. What's up, dude?
Hey, prayer. So
How's it going, dude?
we're gonna do our
That's
show in
good.
a silent mode, huh?
No, well, so I'm in my little workspace inside the house, and the reason I'm inside the house and not in the garage is because the girls found a stray cat and five kittens with this, and they were like tiny, like they could fit in your hand,
Okay.
and um, they for a couple of days they fed them, and one day the mama just carried them away, and they're like, oh, okay, that's the end of it. But every day the mom would come back, and so they would feed it, and then one day, like a week or two later, she brought all of the kittens back, and we're like, what in the heck? And so they're fostering them until
Oh,
the
yeah.
local yeah until the local folks pick them up and do the right thing to get them to their
So are they living in the
permanent.
garage?
They're in the garage because we do have a house cat, and he's not fond of what's happening at the moment. But it smells like cat food, poop and pee. Even though everything's
Oh,
cleaned,
no.
it's just like I have a super sensitive nose, and so no matter what you do, it's like I can smell it. I'm like, I can't do that in here.
Yeah, and I'm
Um,
allergic to cats, so that would not work for me. I would be like, sorry.
yep.
Yeah.
But yeah,
And
that's why I'm being quiet, being not talking as loud, just because I don't want to wake anybody up.
yeah, no,
So
it's
how's
coming
everything
out
going with you?
coming through fine. Good. Yeah.
Good.
Things have been
Cool.
really busy, and um I was just talking to my daughter today that, Thursdays is just I don't know what it is about Thursdays, but it's just so busy. I have so many meetings and stuff on Thursdays, like right from the morning, and and I've got some of my like MVP stuff that, calls, like product group calls and things like that. And it's just, oh my God. Um
Cool.
anyway, so no, it's good. So it looks like we are testing out a new tool to do our recording for this show today. We're not using Teams today,
Yes.
which we've been using for a
Correct.
very long time. Yeah. So we're trying out this
Yep. A
new
couple
thing.
years.
So
Yeah.
yeah. And um we just
Yeah.
wanna see,
T-
go ahead.
yeah. Teams always annoyed me because of the quality of the video. And Microsoft, rightly, they actually turned down the quality for recordings after the influx of customers when the pandemic set in, right? Um, but I just was like, oh, this looks horrible. Like, and for me, form is very important. Um, and so I was like, let's try some other things out. So we're trying out Zencastr today, the free tier, to see how it works, and we'll figure it out. Maybe it'll work,
Yeah,
maybe it won't. Maybe so.
yeah. And you were telling me before we started recording that uh Zencaster will record separate feeds, like mine separately, yours separately. I think maybe the audio separately too. And then and
Yes,
then as the initiator of the meeting, you have the capability of it automatically does the rendering together, and into the cloud, right?
something we'll find out.
Yeah, we'll find out. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So I know I got a beta invite for Zencaster, so earlier this month, and I didn't pay much attention to it. I've been so busy, but I've been wanting, like, I logged onto it and stuff. And I'm like, oh, who am I going to do a recording with? But yeah, so I'm glad you initiated this. So it's good. So we'll see how it goes. I mean, we came
Yeah, for
along
sure.
have been, yeah, a long way. I mean, when we started our show, we were using Skype, and Skype for Business, and then we used like a third party add-on that we paid, like, can't remember, $10 or $20 or whatever. Um, that actually did the split screen for us because Skype could not do that, right? we had the small
Exactly.
box, and so we had to get that. But then the quality was just not great at all, um, and then the
No.
only time we found out about Teams were when we were at Ignite one year, and we were in the expo hall and talking to the booth area and all that, and the guy says, "Why aren't you using Teams? You can." I'm like, "What do you mean you can use Teams to do recording?" It's like it was the first time I ever heard of it. I thought Teams was more of a communication, chatting, that kind of a thing, and so yeah,
Yes. Yep.
so we started
Yeah. So
using it,
hopefully
and
this will satisfy. Yeah.
yeah,
Hopefully this will satisfy my need for it to be pretty. We'll see.
yeah.
Anyway.
All right.
So,
So
all right.
you
So,
had,
how's the
yeah, go ahead. How's that?
how's the weather up by you?
It's this week is a bit warmer. It's in the
Okay.
30s, high 20s, mid, 30s. So it's good, but
Hmm.
it's interesting with the mind plays because when you see the outside is still white, a snow white land,
Yep.
your brain says that is still freaking cold out there. So you kind of like, do I go out? No. Do I go out? No. But then you get like, because of the temperature fluctuations, you get the snow melting, then freezing again, then melting and freezing again. It's like, yeah, I can't wait till this is over. I'm not a winter person, and I'm not, it's,
Yeah.
uh, I've,
It's funny
it
how
was,
you chose the place that you live though, if you're not a winter person. It was
yeah,
it was it was interesting looking at the like, the weather forecast for the country, and because of what happened in Texas, I was paying more attention, and I just could not believe how like the entire country was like literally freezing for a day or
yeah,
two, and I'm like, oh my god, except for a part of California and like all of Florida. I'm like,
yeah,
thank you.
yeah, yeah,
And it was definitely cold those couple days last week, but obviously nowhere near like what you experienced and what happened in Texas and
yeah.
stuff like that.
What
So
we
I'm
what we
happy.
we've been Yeah, what's been happening in Texas is horrible. It's really horrible. Like, you take the politics aside and you take the electrical grid, issues aside, but the people are really suffering, right? And we have a lot of
Hmm.
friends that live in Texas, our techie friends and stuff like that, and um, yeah, seeing people like no heat at home and like and they're not used to this stuff, right? I mean, it does happen once in a while, and it does get cold there. We always assume that Texas is like hot and humid, but they do get these spells once in a while, and
Right.
you know, so yeah, it's sad. It's sad. I hope things turn out
It is.
okay for them eventually, and especially when you're having like bursting pipes and stuff, which just like damages your house to like no you know like my wife and I were talking, like you'd rather your house just burns down ra- than deal with flooding, because it's just kind of like you
Sure.
can't just go back, the walls and your things and everything like that. It's just so yeah. But it's funny, like here up in the northern US, and where it's really really cold all the time, and so when we get like a few degrees like warmer, like even in the 20s, it's like, oh, it's a warm day today. It's like it's high
Hmm.
20s
Yep.
today, like uh but for others it's like it's wicked cold. It's yeah.
Sure.
And
Yeah. What's interesting about here is that it'll be like 60, 65 degrees, but I'm freezing, and I'm like, what
Yes,
is going
yes,
on? And it's because of the
yeah,
humidity. I'm like, this is messed
right,
up. Mhm.
right. Uh, and I'm looking at, sometimes I watch some shows and stuff like, and people are in places like this one I watched, and they were in Australia, and it was like 130 degrees, and they're like outside, they're doing things and whatever, and I'm like, how? when it's like 85 degrees here, we are complaining. We're like, hey, we need the AC on and stuff.
Hmm.
So
Right.
it's just weird how, our bodies work and where we are and how we got used to it. And
Oh, definitely.
so,
I remember you came down here a couple of years ago, and you were in Orlando, and I met up with you, and one of our friends from Canada was there, and he's in shorts, and I was actually like wearing a fleece, jeans, and everything, and he's looking at me, and he's like, "Prayer, it is 72 degrees outside," and I'm like, "I know, I've completely acclimated to the weather here. It's like I'm really actually I am feeling
yeah.
cold." So
So one of the
anyway,
issues that we have here that people probably either don't understand or may want to learn more is that, you have to understand we get snow on our roofs just as much as we get it on the ground. It's up on your roof as well, right? So when it gets to a good amount, you actually have to go up there or use like a long rake and remove the snow because it puts so much pressure and weight on your roof, and it can cause
right.
collapse situations. And also, especially when it gets wet and then freezes and becomes ice. But the other problem is that, so like my house, we've been losing some heat in obviously my attic is not properly insulated and stuff, so we have heat loss. When you have heat loss, it's warming up the snow on the roof, even though it's like
Yeah.
below freezing temperatures, like it's literally freezing. And I would see from the edges of my roof water droplets, and it's causing the what do you call it, the icicles. And because there's so much heat loss and it's melting. But what happens is when it comes down, where there is no heat, they call them the eaves or something like that, right? It's not touching your roof anymore, so it's colder there. So then it freezes there. Now it creates this massive ice chunks that you can't
Yep.
remove. Like I've tried to use a chisel and stuff. So then when it creates the ice
Oh my
jam,
God.
then when the next time when it starts melting, it goes underneath that. Then it goes underneath your shingles and into your, like, it's crazy what it does, like the damage that it does. So it's a constant thing about dealing with this stuff. It's
Yep.
so
Can't you
anyways.
use your drone to? Couldn't you use your drone to like blow the snow off? No,
That's a lot
like
of
because
stuff.
like oh okay. No, I'm talking about
Yeah.
like when it
We so
snows the
we
first.
we've seen I've seen people, like I've driven by in some places where people actually have brought up their little small snow blowers up on the roof. Like
Holy crap, that's
I'm
crazy.
serious. I don't know how they bring it up, whether they like tie a rope or something and then pull it up or something like that. But they are up there with their snow blowers and blowing the snow off the roof.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh,
So let's get into
what are
some
your
technical things.
yes? So I
Yes.
got two bits for you. The first is, and they both have to deal with Exchange Online. I think if you were paying attention about 2 years ago, 3 years ago, Microsoft announced that they're going to retire basic auth for
Hmm.
Exchange Online. The biggest impact would be folks using third party clients to access IMAP. I'm sorry, to access their mailboxes via IMAP. If they did not support modern auth, the client itself, then you wouldn't be able to get to your mailbox anymore. And so Microsoft said, we're turning this off because it is better for security to use modern auth for another show. The There's a lot of like feedback back to Microsoft, like please delay this, please delay this. There's a lot of discovery we have to do, and you also haven't given us tools to show us which users are using basic auth
Okay.
so that we can go to them. So they delayed it. They delayed it. Pandemic happened. They said we've delayed this. We've delayed this indefinitely.
Too long.
Yep. Like so, we don't have any plans at the moment. This was like a year ago. Like our due dates, just ignore them. We're not doing it. A month ago, they said, hey, we need to think about this again. So if you are currently not using basic auth for a particular protocol, we're just going to disable that for your tenant for that specific protocol. So
Okay.
if you're not using basic auth for IMAP at all, then they'll turn it off. So if somebody decides later on they want to use something that way, they wouldn't be able to get to it. I think this
Okay.
is a good way to do it.
Mhm.
And right now in Azure AD, you can run reports to see users that are still using basic auth,
Oh, okay.
so that you
Okay.
can, and it'll also tell you like what protocol are they using as well to help you identify like, hey, does this affect me or does this not affect me?
Right.
So if you're using
And
Outlook
then you
and
just
all that
get
kind
those
of,
users to move off to the new protocols and yeah.
yep, like the newer versions of Thunderbird, they all support modern auth. So they should be, hopefully it's stuff like if you're using really old email clients like Alpine, which I don't even
Mm.
know if if is it still developed or supported by the University of Washington. I don't know, but I don't think that will do modern auth. So that's the first thing. So check your message center on more details on that in your Office 365 tenant. The
Mm-hmm.
second thing, and I read this in the tech community, they're currently, if you look in the Exchange Online service limits, each mailbox in your tenant is limited to 3,600 messages per hour. That's considered
3,600.
a messages per hour
Okay.
to a particular for one mailbox. However, they never really enforced that limit. They are going to start enforcing that limit. So if you're hitting like 10,000 messages per hour, they'll slowly scale that down until you are throttled at 3,600 messages per hour. So it doesn't go immediately from 10,000 to 3,600. There's going to be some mechanism to put in some kind of delay. I'm just thinking like, how many mailboxes could be actually getting more than one message per second? I know that they're out there, but to all of a sudden like it hit their radar and saying,
Yeah.
actually, we need to do something about this, I thought was really interesting. I don't care about the limit, honestly. It doesn't affect me. But I
Yeah, I'm
wonder like,
curious, like who gets that many emails like in that duration like that? Like you're
yeah,
basically
like
talking about one email per second
to one mailbox. Yeah.
to one
So like,
mailbox.
so it's not being throttled for your tenant or anything like that. It's
No.
the throttle for a single mailbox. So yeah, I thought that was really interesting. Um,
Oh,
so
I'd
yeah,
love to hear
if
from
they're
someone if they know who gets that that kind of you know
yeah, like I could,
email.
sure, if you're a huge company like Amazon, and if you happen to use Office 365 and your customer support mailbox is an Exchange Online, I could perceive that getting more than one email per second. But how many of them are out there like that, right? So it's just
Wow,
weird. That's a weird one for sure.
that is a weird one. And obviously it exists. Otherwise, Microsoft wouldn't be doing it, right? I mean,
Hmm.
they see the trend or something, and so those are good information, good tips there. Um, Anything else going on, like techie wise? I know something about. I don't know much about it, but I heard today about the next version of Windows Server. I think it's going to be known as Server 2022. Right now, it's on Insider preview build, and you can go check it out and install and play with it. But that's supposed to be the next version after 2019, which is what most of us are using now. So I guess eventually, I don't know what that support time frame is for, like Server 2012 and stuff, but that should be also moving away. We just got rid of 2008, right? A year or so ago. Oh, maybe 2 years. I can't remember now. But
Sure.
uh, yeah, and then the something. It's also something about this Server 2022 being LTSC, long term servicing channel, versus your
Sure.
traditional So that changes how you get your update builds and updates and so on and so forth. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So there have been a few things like that. What else? So that's pretty much it from me on that front. And Ignite's around the corner, so that's going to be something people are going to be focusing on as well. So other than that,
Yeah. One thing that I've noticed is that if you're looking for sessions for whatever reason, it seems like a lot of my searches were coming up empty, and it seems like the catalog is tagged in a very odd way. So you might have to dig deeper for the sessions that you want if you're not, because I've heard a lot of people say I'm not finding the things that I'm interested in. Um, and so I kind of started looking, and sure enough, I'm like, I know this is here because somebody talked about it. And so then when I looked it up, it was just tagged in a very odd way. So I my suggestion would be like, look for things that you look under paths that you would not look normally. Like if you're looking for stuff about Windows Virtual Desktop, look at everything under Modern Workplace and see if you
oh
can
yeah,
find
that's
it
a good
there.
tip. Yeah,
Because
yeah,
it's like, okay, like, yeah, it's not tagged as um, virtual desktops or
Windows.
Windows. It's tagged
Right.
by this other stuff. So you have to get a
Okay.
little creative and looking for the things that are
Okay.
interesting to you.
Interesting. Interesting. That's another good tip. Yeah. Yeah. I think I was playing around with the schedule builder yesterday or something like that too, and I had that same situation. I was just punching in some keywords and then eventually I just went to the filter mode, the
There you
panel,
go.
and
Hmm.
then that's what I used, and then I just like, okay, I want to look at this kind of this learning path or this, you know, table talks or something like that, and then I just
Cool.
started listing it through that way, uh, and I think, and the other thing that I noticed is that some sessions you had the ability to add it to your backpack, but you could not actually add it to your schedule. I don't know whether you saw that.
Oh, weird.
Some you can some you have to like RSVP because they have limited, I guess,
Yep.
spaces or whatever. So you get your RSVP those, and then you add it to your backpack. But then the other ones is like you add it to your like your schedule, and then you're gonna also add it to your backpack. But some of them did not have that at all. So I'm not sure whether it was just a glitch, a temporary glitch, or they're still trying to figure out the scheduling for it. So I'm not sure. Uh,
Yeah, interesting.
so
Okay,
yeah, yeah,
cool. Well, we got cat news, we got the weather, we got some technical stuff in.
yeah, it's
Um,
good. And we're trying
well,
out Zencastr,
cool.
so we'll give
Yep.
Zencastr a plug here, and hopefully it works out. But I did notice, like when we were first introducing this, there was a little glitchiness with uh, your audio and your video. It kind of like stopped
Hmm.
jiving a little bit, but um, I'm not sure whether that's going to show up or not. But we'll see.
Yeah,
Uh,
we'll find out for sure.
we'll yeah. Um, and
Cool.
all right. So until next time, you'll find me on Twitter. I'm uh, Hooge, Horge.
No, it's
I
always going
forgot.
to be funny to me. Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
And all right, and you can find me on Twitter as the IT Jedi.
Yeah. All right. Cheers.
See y'all later.
Bork, bork, bork.